everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Make sure you support our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here is the Fumble Squad. I'm Deborah. You can find me on Instagram as @DevonHoward.
Hey everybody, I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRayTheFanatic.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You guys can follow me on all social media at @IamBrittJohnson. Ladies, what day is today? It's Taco Tuesday!
Oh, goodness.
Amazing. I love it. So who's having tacos tonight? Anyone?
No, I'm actually not
No?
tonight.
I think I might have nachos, though. I think I'm going to make some nachos tonight. But no, actually, I do have taco shells. I might make tacos. Maybe I will have tacos tonight.
It's
I'm
a maybe.
trying to be a little leaner until Thursday. I'm trying to be a little leaner until Thursday.
That's smart. Yes, speaking of Thursday, dive into the news. I would love to hear what your plans are for Thanksgiving. So, Jackie, let's start with you. Britt, go right after her.
So I don't know, because I was going to have a gathering here at my place, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to have that many people in my apartment. I want to be a smart person. I don't want to be like one of those people with a whole bunch of people in my house not wearing a mask. I think I might actually opt for a virtual Thanksgiving. We actually found this place that can send us all the same Thanksgiving food, and then we can just all get on virtually and do that. I think I might do that just because I'm a little paranoid now. I'm late to the game, but I'm paranoid now.
Yeah. Usually I do a giant Thanksgiving with all of my mom's side of the family. I do mom's side of the family for Thanksgiving and dad's side of the family for Christmas. And we're not doing that this year. I'm actually just going to my sister's house. So it's just going to be my sister, her kids, and her boo, and one of my friends that lives down in San Diego and her baby. So everybody's getting COVID tested beforehand, and we're just going to do Thanksgiving. I got what is it called? The temperature thing for the forehead. I got that. So I'm going to do that. But I am a little nervous because I'm supposed to have a brunch at my house on Saturday. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my temperature thing. I'm going to make people wash their hands immediately when they come in. And then every 30 minutes, we're going to have like a sanitize moment. So everyone has to re-sanitize. I have my Lysol and I'll respray the house. And we're going to keep the windows and the patio door open. So it's not going to be a lot of people, but like I think that's my figure it out moment for these holiday seasons. Devin, what about you?
That sounds smart. And it sounds Britt, your Thanksgiving sounds like it's going to be really fun. My family and I are doing a socially distant picnic. We're just meeting halfway between San Diego, LA, and Orange County. We're going to have salads and sandwiches. Nothing like my typical Thanksgiving feast that I usually love to make, but I'm just happy that I get to see my family. I got a COVID test yesterday, and I am negative, so I'm super happy about that. All right, you guys. Well, on that note, let's just jump right into the news. We have another story about Tom Brady being a sorter. So Tom Brady decided to not shake Jared Goff's hand. This was after the Bucs lost to the Rams 27-24. So he's doing this, he's building this reputation for himself that he's unwilling to shake hands with opposing quarterbacks after he loses. It's definitely a bad look, but of course people still make excuses for him. As you can video here, he just snubs him totally, which is just, it's such a bad, I can't even fathom why he would want people to perceive him in this way. So a lot of the times when this has happened in the past, we see people coming to Tom Brady's defense, and it's because of COVID. He doesn't want to shake anybody's hands. But Shannon Sharp actually pointed something out that was, I really liked this tweet that he posted. He tore into Tom Brady. I guess Brady doesn't know Goff well enough to shake his hand after losing, yet he knows every quarterback after he wins, Brady is full of what the elephant left on the showground. His attitude is bull jive, and it's time to call his ass out on it. All of these words in this tweet is so funny to me, but there was another tweet, which I love, that says, Tom Brady doesn't shake hands, crickets. If that was Cam Newton, it'd be breaking news, Newton, sore loser. And it's true. I feel like if there were any other player doing this, the headlines would focus on how ungracious they are, how they can't accept a loss and still have good sportsmanship. But somehow Tom Brady always gets a pass. I was glad to see that people were calling him out and drawing attention to the fact that this is now becoming a pattern with him. So, Britt, going to you first, why do you think people continue to make excuses for Tom Brady time and time again with this kind of thing?
I honestly don't think they are now, because we are all talking about it. Everybody, like every news, sports, whether it was ESPN or Fox or Yahoo that I looked at this morning, they were all saying the same thing, and that Tom Brady is a sore loser. So I think his little pass that he tried to get with the Nick Foles situation didn't work. It didn't even work when the Eagles beat them in that situation. Like I know everybody was like, okay, he didn't shake his hand, and then when they play each other again and Nick Foles wins again, doesn't shake his hand. And then now this Jared Goff situation, which if you watch the game, Tom Brady threw 2 picks yesterday. One of them was towards the end of the game. And then he wants to get salty right after that play and then leave the field and not shake Jared Goff's hand. And you know who Jared Goff is. You played against him in the Super Bowl and you won. When you won the Super Bowl against the Rams, you did go and shake his hand. So you knew him well enough to shake his hand in that moment. But then now that you lose to him after you just threw a pick, now you don't know who Jared Goff is and you don't want to shake his hand. I think that the media needs to make sure when he goes into the press room after, to ask, why did you not do that, and make him actually answer the question instead of just saying, oh, well, he's a sore loser, or, oh, because of COVID, this, that, and the third. I think everybody needs to make him actually answer for what he's doing, because I don't care how long you've been in the game, how many Super Bowl rings you have and MVP awards you have and this, that, and the third. You are not above anybody else in this league to where you feel like you can't go shake somebody's hand, because guess what? A lot of people that lost and that felt really bad in moments and maybe thought they had their one chance to win a Super Bowl or go to a Super Bowl and this, that, and the third, they all shook your hand after they lost. So it's your turn now. Your team is still doing pretty decent, so you haven't lost many games, but any moment that you do lose, you want to act like this. Like, this is not how the league should be represented, and not even just like Tom Brady should feel. This is a representation of the Bucs. This is a representation of the league. Like, obviously we know Patrick Mahomes is getting in the position now where he's the new face of the NFL, but we all know Tom Brady as one of the greatest, if not the greatest to ever do it, So is that what imprint you want to leave, what legacy you want to leave on the league? Because everybody remembers, what have you done for me lately? Like, yes, you have won a lot of stuff, but people are going to remember how you walk out of this door just as much as they remember what you did when you were in the room. So this moment, what he's doing right now, yes, he is at the end of his career, and maybe he feels like he don't care and he doesn't have to be humble and he doesn't have to be whatever, is the wrong thing to have, because we're all in a moment now of social media, bigger and better than ever, and we're all going to remember this moment. We're not going to remember all the other great things you did in your 20 years. We're going to remember your sore loser stuff and how you walked out of the door towards the end of your career.
Humility is so important. It doesn't matter how far along you get in your career, how successful you are. Maintaining a sense of humility is the most valuable thing that I think anybody can do. And Tom Brady is definitely showing that he has lost that. And it's like I said before, I mean, I just can't even fathom why he wants people to think of him this way. So Jackie, obviously I have to go to you for this Cam Newton comparison. If Cam Newton were to do this same thing, do you think that he would get the same treatment as Brady, or do you agree that people would go wild about it, the headlines would be on fire about how he's such a sore loser?
I mean, there's always been a double standard when it comes to, and unfortunately, I know people don't like talking about it, but black quarterbacks can't get away with anything. Patrick Mahomes probably can if he wanted to, because he's kind of playing both sides of the fence. We talked about that before, but black quarterbacks can't get away with anything. I specifically remember Cam Newton celebrating in the end zone one time, and everybody thought that he was boisterous and he was setting up bad examples for a kid. Meanwhile, you've got Aaron Rodgers doing the discount double check all in people's face, and nobody said anything about that. It was actually made a commercial, by State Farm. So it's one of those things that the double standard is always there. And I just don't think I do like what you said, like how he's showing that he's lost his integrity. I don't think he ever had it. Tom Brady has been very good at being very gracious when he wins, but this isn't new. We're just not used to seeing him lose this much. So now it's happening more often, and we're seeing it more often. But before, if he lost 1 or 2 games, and he's going to be gracious because they were always in contention to actually go the distance. This is the first time in his career, as we know him, since the tuck rule was invented for him. This is the first time since then that we've actually seen him had to put in the work, and the work is not actually working out for him in that way. So now we're seeing who he really is. This isn't a new Tom Brady. It's a new situation, and now we're seeing who he really is. But make no mistake, this man has always been like this. He just has never been in this situation. And what I think the players should do, don't give him a chance to be this ungracious. Don't give him a chance to be this disrespectful. You know who he is. He's proven who he is. You shake everybody else's hand but him, because I think he's that kind of guy. He has that juvenile mind that he's actually going to have to go through it. It's actually going to have to be done to him until he goes, oh, maybe I was being a kind of a douche. Maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. But until somebody does it back to him, just get used to Tom Brady shaking your hand only when he wins, because that's who he is.
So one thing that I do want to say, sorry, I feel like I'm hearing you. I feel like I'm talking over you because I can talking in my ear, but I know there's a delay. So I'm really sorry about this awkward moment that just happened here. But what you were saying, Jackie, I like what you were saying about how this is who Tom Brady has been this whole time. And I think that this really draws attention to the fact that it's important to be a gracious winner, and it's also important to be a gracious loser. But yeah, I think to me, I almost feel like if Tom Brady wants to keep showing people that this is who he is, let's let him. If he wants to show that he's disrespectful, that he can't handle a loss because he's too much of a baby, then go ahead, show us your true colors and stay like that. Because like Britt mentioned before, that's how we'll remember you. That's how you'll go down in history. Mm-hmm. So I'm almost like, keep doing it. I saw this going around online. People were wondering if Tom Brady was doing this just to get a rise out of people on social media. Do you feel it's possible that he is doing this just to spite people on social media? And why do you think he would be okay with kind of reputation?
I don't think he's doing this at all just to get a rise out of people. I think that this is just him, who he is. And if it was to get a rise out of people, it would be done in some kind of epic way, but this is literally him. You can see his face that he's literally just pissed off because he lost and he's walking away. This has nothing to do with anybody else. This is all about Tom Brady. Can you even hear us, Devin? What's happening right now?
I can hear you guys. I had asked that question to Britt, but I know that I glitched when I said the name. So Britt,
gotcha.
Question. I love your response, question, by the way. Thank you.
We didn't
know.
Britt, okay.
Okay. I think that is just. Ask another question.
Britt, do you think we'll ever get to a point where Brady is held to the same standards as every other quarterback in the league?
No, he shouldn't be held to the same necessarily standards, because he has done way more than anybody has ever done. And I always tell you guys, I stick with that Jimmy Johnson rule. If you the best player and you fall asleep, I'm gonna go and wake you up. If you are a whack player and you fall asleep, you're off my team, So I don't think that he should necessarily be held to the standard as a quarterback compared to other quarterbacks. I think just the decency of the game and what the game is supposed to represent and sportsmanship and stuff, I think that he needs to be held to the same standard in that capacity, because you have played 20 years in the league, and because you are the best at your position ever to play, you should have this level of honestly, of royalty in a sense that you are supposed to act with dignity and you're supposed to act with, this like honorable thing, and he's not doing that. So I think that because he has played in the league for so long and he's not this immature Odell Beckham Jr. who's really mad and frustrated and kicks the field goal and hits himself in the face and all this kind of stuff. He's not a young guy trying to figure out his emotions on a football field. He's been playing long enough, and I just think we should hold him to the standard of like, well, you're 40 something years old, my guy. Like, you should actually be able to conduct yourself with a little bit of dignity and respect and this, that, and the third. So I think he needs to be held to that standard. But as far as like the quarterback thing and being compared to other quarterbacks, he's not like anybody else, which is why I understand like why people try to give him the benefit of the doubt maybe sometimes, but this is very clear cut. He's a sore loser. We've seen him when he shakes hands, when he doesn't shake hands. It has nothing to do with COVID, has nothing to do with anything else. It has to do with him being a sore loser. We all now have said that. I think every media station, like I said earlier, has said something about it today. So he's not getting the pass anymore that he was getting before. But I think he does need to be held to a standard of like, I'm the best, so I should act like I'm the best. And that's not how you act as a football player.
I don't think it's a standard per se like that. I think it's more, sorry, I just want to real quick. Like, I agree with you, Britt. I don't think it's a standard per se. Like, he should want to be that person. But I also understand the people who make excuses for Tom Brady, not the Tom Brady stands that are just crazy, but he's never been in this situation. He's used to always being the man. He's used to always being on the team that everybody's talking about and everybody's kind of rolling their eyes like, okay, we have to beat the Patriots again. He literally did this to himself. If he wanted to go out on top, he could have just retired last season. He didn't have to do this whole thing where he goes over to Tampa Bay to a squad that's not built around him. The Patriots were built around him. So now he should have this opportunity to shine. And now he's got these young guys coming up to him who literally want to shake his hand because he's the GOAT. He should want to give them that moment. He should want to be the guy that says, hey, love what you're doing. You've got this. Give them some tips of the trade. But if you wanted to go out on top, you should have bounced last season. You made this decision, so now you got to step up and act right.
I honestly 1,000% believe he was going to retire last season, but because his very last pass was an interception in that playoff game, that is why he did not retire. I 1,000% believe that he was about to hang up the cleats and be done playing, but because his very last pass in the league was an interception, he stayed. But now I'm like, if you're going to stay and you're on a team that maybe is not going to go all the way or whatever the case is, at least leave with some like, people love you, man. Like, people like gave me some, like leave with that at least. But like, you coming back, because a lot of people believed he was going to retire last year, and I still believe he didn't because of that last pass. Like, if you're coming into this last season, make it worth something. Like, I think even Kobe Bryant did that. A lot of people didn't like Kobe Bryant when they played against him, obviously because he was good and this, that, and the third or whatever. He was gritty, and he wasn't the nicest person always on a basketball court. But that last season when he had that like farewell thing, he was talking to everybody. He was shaking everybody's hand. He was and that is honestly why I think that farewell tour catapulted Kobe to even a bigger level, because if he would have went out just salty, like, oh, well, I ain't even really playing and yada, yada, and I'm not going to go talk to these people, we would have had a totally different like thought of Kobe Bryant before him passing away. But like that farewell tour and him just saying the right things and being like giving people advice and going to all the games and making sure he suits up every time and just one time for the fans, was the difference. And if this is supposed to be your farewell tour, quote unquote, Tom Brady, you missing the mark, my guy.
Right. Do better.
I'd like to take this moment to shout out LeBron James for a face of the league, but also somebody who can graciously win and lose. I think that's the type of personality an athlete should aim to be, especially when they've achieved that same level. So, Jackie, I know that we feel the same way about that. So shout out to LeBron. And then on that note, you guys, let's wrap up Need to Know News. And Jackie, can you take us into the post-up?
Yes, it's time for Post Up. Way to send me into the Post Up Devin edition, because that's how you send me in with some king stuff. I love it. Well done, girl. All right, so let's get into this first one, which is sad news, because we all know about Klay. All of us are just wondering how Steph is going to do without Klay, but I also think we're also worried about Klay and his mental, because this is two big injuries back to back that he's having to deal with. Steph finally spoke out about it. He said, I don't know anyone who, he said, no, this is what I'm saying. He doesn't know, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Klay, but Steph said, quote, he said, to get that call was a gut punch for sure. A lot of tears. You don't really know what to say, because a guy like that is having to play through a pretty serious rehabs, which is true, because I just don't even know what he's going through mentally right now, just to know that he's got to go through the same fight again. In another interview, he went on to say, at the end of the day, we have to have his back. We hope he is around, and part of what we do through this rehab and staying connected with us. He can come back strong. He's a guy who loves the game so much. He's going to do whatever it takes to get back out there on the floor. And I think that he will. I'm worried about his confidence. I'm worried about his mental state, because this is a game that even Steph says he loves. So I'm just concerned about him. I'm hoping he's getting a lot of love. And of course, there was some support from the fans as well. This fan posted this. It says, this hurts to read. Hope Klay comes back ASAP. The NBA ain't the same without the Splash Bros, which I agree with that. I think that is something that, regardless of if you're a Warriors fan or not, having the Warriors be who they are and having these rivalries and these teams that you really want to beat makes the NBA better in its totality. Britt, I'm going to go to you. Like, how do you think Klay's doing mentally? I know Derrick Rose had to go through something like this, and I think sometimes we saw in him that it wasn't just the physical, it was the mental. How do you think it is impacting him mentally to go through this back to back?
I couldn't even imagine. I know it must be like difficult. Again, we talked about the Derrick Rose situation time and time again. And, you know, a lot of it is the half of the coming back battle is like your mental, you know, like it's like, oh, technically you're okay to train again or to work out again, but is your mental going to let you do that? We talked, you guys will see it on Weekend Zone, about Tua and his situation. And Jackie, you had even mentioned like his hip is good, but he's even said that like he's not 100% okay with his hip yet, even though technically it's healed, you know? And that's something that I'm kind of nervous to see with Klay. Like obviously Klay is, you know, getting up there in his career, and every year that you suffer an injury, it's going to be harder and harder to come back. I do think it's great that he was able to win, you know, 3 championships prior to getting hurt and stuff like that. So he's had some successes with basketball, and it's not like the Derrick Rose situation that happened so earlier, the Jay Will situation that happens during his rookie year and stuff like that. So I think he'll be okay, because he's had a lot of basketball to play and to go through to get to before he gets to this point. And obviously we know his dad played in the league, and his brother plays as well, and then his other brother plays professional baseball. You know, it's like a family full of that. His mom was an Olympic volleyball player, so like his whole he has a family of athletes, and we all know Rocco in there too, the dog. But he has a family of athletes, and I think that energy around him honestly is probably going to be the best thing for him right now, because he's going to have so many different people in his life that are really close to him that can give him whatever advice or to help him up, because they've either been in a position like that or they understand what it takes to get to that level. So I think his family is honestly going to be his biggest support in what he needs to get through this. And he's very blessed to have all of that and have a house full of athletes.
Yeah, for sure. The house full of athletes. And let's not sleep on Rocco, because if you guys don't have a pet, or if you've never had a pet, you don't know. Those dogs, when you are down, they can feel that they are right there with you. So let's not sleep on Rocco. Shouts out to Rocco, because we know he's spreading the love. So now let's get into this next one. Because yesterday, Britt said that she didn't want TREZZ back because she felt that he was toxic to the team. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I am going to say I do not think he's the only one that's toxic. I think there's enough toxic to spread around. But of course, he finally did his interview now that he has come over to our side of the hallway, now that he's kicking it with us. these reporters asked him the same questions over and over and over again. Do you think that the Clippers wanted you back? The first time he was like, well, doesn't really seem like it. And normally I get mad when reporters ask the same question that's already been asked. But this time when the reporter asked him again, like, do you think that the Clippers wanted you there? He kind of dove deeper into his response. So I want you to take a listen and see how he feels about the Clippers and if they wanted him back.
Review that wanted to re-sign there.
I mean, honestly, I feel that, you know, if you spend your career in any place long enough, you're going to want to continue to still keep playing there and keep, you know, growing there. So, you know, of course, I still have great respect for those guys and for the organization. But like I said, as far as, you know, if they wanted me back, you know, obviously it just doesn't seem that way, does it?
Yeah, so that clip actually kind of made me feel like he wanted to come back, but he just didn't feel like he was wanted. And so obviously the fans had something to say. One fan tweeted, "Gonna miss you, TREZZ. It's hard to find heart like yours." This one says, "Funny how he wants to play the victim after his camp were the ones making up narratives for the media to run with, knowing it would cause problems in the locker room. TREZZ threw his teammates under the bus to try to salvage his value after his terrible showing in the bubble. And it seems that the only person who wanted him back is fired and is now with the Sixers." So there's that. And then some people did say they were going to miss him. This user said, "Going to miss you, TREZZ. It's hard to find heart like yours." And then this user responded to that with, "Live by emotion, die by emotion," which I think is fair, because I think TREZZ does play with his heart on his sleeve, but sometimes he gets too emotional and he doesn't take that step back and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, maybe I shouldn't do that. So I definitely agree with that. I still don't agree with you 100%, Britt, that he's the only toxic element in your locker room, but I do think that he probably led with his... Right, but I mean, if he would have come back, if the Clippers wanted him back, would you have been okay with him staying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike TREZZ as a player. Like, in the first part of what he said was weird, because you've been with the Clippers since 3 years or 2 years ago. Right. You were on the Houston Rockets before, so you act like you've been on the Clippers your whole entire NBA career. So let's chill there. Right. Like, don't act like this is some guy, like you've been here for 10 years and then we just let go of you. That did not happen. But I think I would have been happy if he stayed. I do like him as a player, but the first comment that you read, that's it right there. And honestly, like, for TREZZ the worst part of it was TREZZ was gone for like a month and a half. We all remember that, because his grandma passed away. They gave him all the time that he needed. Every single guy on that Clippers roster was like, we'll take him back when he's ready to come back. We're not going to rush him, this, that, and the third. They let him be with his family, even though we were struggling a little bit in the bubble, and we would have needed his energy. I mean, he won Sixth Man of the Year for a reason this year, you know? Like, his energy is great on our court, you know? And to have him missing along with Patrick Beverley and Lou Will and stuff, we needed him in the bubble. We needed him, and we needed to get back gelling before we got to the playoffs, which is why we ended up not doing well in the playoffs. So you have a moment like that where everybody's rallying around him, and then when we get to a point where he's back, we're not doing that well, and then he wants to go point fingers at other people. And I'm like, everybody just had your back when you were gone for a month and a half. Yet you want to come and Paul George has already talked about his depression and whatever this and third. Now you want to point fingers and say, oh, it's because of you and because you took rest days or whatever during the regular season. And you were gone for a month and a half, my guy, while we were over here playing, trying to make sure we got in a good spot still to go to be deep in these playoffs. So I don't understand here. Like, I just felt like he didn't have the same energy. And he was all about the emotion part of it and not thinking like, oh, yeah, when I was gone doing my stuff, this team had my back. And then when I came back, and now it's not necessarily my fault that we're losing, I'm just going to point fingers at other people and blame this, that, and the third. So that's the energy I didn't like from him. Again, that was the first time I saw him behave like that or do something like that. But I didn't like that energy at all, because this team had been up to that point like, oh, whatever y'all need, we got y'all. We're going to take care of each other. We're a team first, you know? And after that, I was like, he could go. I'm not tripping if he goes.
I do think people grieve differently, and I think sometimes you get hyper focused on your work and you haven't really dealt with whatever grief, and then things come out in different ways. I think that's probably why I gave him a little bit of a pass on that. That and the fact that there was enough blame. Yeah, there was enough blame to go around, but I am very much team keep that internal. You know what I mean? Don't put that out for everyone else to see. Those are supposed to be behind closed doors conversations. So I get both sides of that. I just think that he didn't grieve properly, and then it came back to bite him. But let's move on to this next one, because this next one is funny as hell to me, because Ben Simmons' sister, she always keep the mess at the forefront. That's just who she is. That's what she does. I think she's having a say less moment, but her timing is flawless, because yesterday morning, 76ers president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, he was on 97.5, the radio show up there, and he actually said that he is pro keeping Joel and Ben. I have a tweet from 97.5. They said, we got to get rid of the noise. We love Ben and Joel. I think Sam Hinkie said it when he came out of his groundhog hole. The fans went through the process for these two players. Why would we try to ship them out? Doc and I are here for a reason. That's what he said about moving on. So he's definitely, we had said that before. Everyone on this show said that we thought that they should probably separate Ben and Joel, that one of them's going to get shipped off. But at the same time, if Doc can get in there and give them a year to do it, you might as well try it. Might as well try to see if you can make that work, because on paper it technically should work. But I do think it's funny that Daryl Morey's out here saying, hey, let's calm this noise down. Let's just find some sense of calm. Right when he said that, here come Ben Simmons' sister, and she took to Twitter to say, can't wait for trade news on Tuesday because nobody wants to hear anything on Monday. Effing relax, guys. It's Tuesday. Have you heard anything? Britt, have you heard anything about a possible trade? Do you think that this relationship between Ben Simmons can be salvaged? Do you think Ben Simmons' sister should say less? There's so many questions.
She needs to say yes. Yeah, less. Yes. She needs to say less. Yes. Yeah, this is a say less moment. Like, stop, sis. Like, you're doing a Danny Green. You're pulling a Danny Green now.
Right.
What was that?
Devin, bless you. I think that was a sneeze. Bless you, Devin.
It was a sneeze.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you
That's
so much,
hilarious.
you guys.
Yeah. All right, and with that adorable, cute sneeze, we're gonna move on to Kelly Oubre. Now, he found out this one is not, it's terrible, but it's not new because this happens all the time. We've heard about guys getting traded while they're on the bus to a game. We've seen guys get traded on the sideline. They can't play the fourth quarter. We've heard of all of this, but this one with Kelly Oubre is just funny. It's not funny, haha, but it's funny. Like, really, guys, you guys can't be a little bit more professional. But he got cut after practice. NBA Central posted this tweet that said, I just see people looking at me with like a glare in their eyes. I was like, and then Check came up and said, yo, check your Twitter. So he had to check his Twitter to find out that he had been traded, which I think is so unprofessional. I hate when people do this. He also he told The Athletic, he was on a radio show, and he said, quote, I can play for an owner, somebody who actually cares about the organization and not just the perception of the organization on the media end of it. It's all about your foundation for me, man. You have a beautiful foundation, can build for the future. He said that about his new team, which is the Warriors. I think that jab is warranted, especially when you find out you've been traded via Twitter and you're in the middle of practice. I don't understand this. I will never understand why you can't just call a guy to the side. Yes, it's kind of funny, but I would be mad. I'd be big mad. Devin, what do you think about how he found out he was traded?
I always feel so bad whenever I hear stories like this where people find out from the media before they find out their actual team. So I feel bad for Kelly in this situation. And I don't blame him for throwing that jab later. I think that it's unprofessional to let the news be known via Twitter. Like, be something that's communicated privately or it's made public, how I feel.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, if you had time to let it leak out there, you could have at least sent the man a text. So when he picks up his phone, he sees the text versus having to go onto Twitter. I think that is absolutely terrible. It's so embarrassing. But we're going to move on to something that is not embarrassing, something that I am super, 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 super proud of. This picture means everything to me because I have watched football since I was born, since out of the womb. This picture means so much to me. And last night during the Rams-Buck game, this is the first time in NFL history that we have had an all-black officiating crew. I sent this to our producer immediately because when I first saw it, in my head, because again, I've been watching football since I was in diapers. I thought that they just got all the black refs together and took a picture. I didn't think that they were all officiating the same game. And then as I'm watching the game, I'm like, hold up, this is crazy. This is amazing. I literally got teary-eyed. I know a lot of you guys won't understand that. Especially, I went to Twitter, of course, to see the responses on this. I wasn't surprised that most of them were extremely negative. I mean, I'm not surprised at that. We have half a country that voted for a guy who won't renounce white supremacy. But I just did pick these two that made the most common sense because I think you guys need to understand why I was so emotional about this. And he says, if you think about how many all-white crews have officiated in NFL games, this is the first time that we've had an all-black crew. Nobody thinks about that. Like the NFL is over 70% black as far as the players, and we've never had an all-black officiating crew, but we've always had all-white officiating crews. And then this next one just nailed it if you don't understand. He says, if you are a white person wondering why this is being pointed out, then you need to understand anytime a first happens with our community, there is a cause to celebrate. If it isn't that important to you, that is fine, but don't feel the need to come crash our party instead, because I'm telling you, I was so over the moon excited about this. And again, I didn't realize it took me probably about midway through the first quarter before I was like, hold up. They're all on the field at the same. I called everybody I knew. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So yes, let us have our moment, because we're still, unfortunately, in 2020, there's still some things that are going to be the first for Black people. Yeah. So let us have that moment. Thank you guys so much for letting me have that right now. But this next one I love because MARSHAWN Lynch will always be a beast to me. He will never lose that name for me because I remember in 2019 when he decided to buy real estate to try to prevent gentrification, #marking the boss. And he also bought a soul food restaurant in the community that was going to be sold. And he did that to help that 80-year-old woman out who was going to sell it. So I think that was dope. And now here he is again. He's just out here on the streets with turkeys in hand, passing them out to random strangers by himself. This is one of those things where sometimes when you see people doing charity, sometimes it is for the camera or it's big groups of people. This is just him with his mask on and his gloves. So give that man his props for that, even though he's not wearing the mask properly at this. Is he going to throw that? Right, it's more of a chin strap than it is a mask right now, but he's just out here giving out these turkeys, which I think is so beautiful. The comments, though, I didn't even actually put any comments because people were giving him grief and saying, oh, he's out here just giving out these turkeys to people in these nice cars. Like, why wouldn't he give these turkeys to homeless people? Two things. What's a homeless person going to do with a frozen turkey? Where are they going to fix it? How are they going to prepare it? And two, sometimes you just don't know what people are going through. Sometimes a random act of kindness really can change the trajectory for people. Sometimes they just need that smile. They need that kind gesture. I don't know what any of these people were going through in these cars, but if any of them were going through something and they needed a random act of kindness, Beast Mode was there to give it to him. So I love this moment for him and these people. I thought it was awesome. This next one is funny because we talk about her all the time. She's one of our favorites on this show. I love to hear her commentate. And I think you guys all remember that time when Drake said he wanted to go out on a date with Doris Burke. We all remember that. NBA 2K, it has just elevated her dating status because look at this. This user tweeted. He said, I don't remember Doris Burke being this fine. Look. I'm like, I'm going to do some sit-ups right after this. Right after this show ends, I'm starting to do some sit-ups. Squats, sit-ups, sucking it in, a waist trainer. I had to get my whole life together after seeing this. But when this user said, I don't remember Doris. Right, but look, and it's the pose too. It's the face, like, you see I'm hot.
Right.
Like, who NBA 2K is doing too much. You're doing too much. But one user responded to this, and he says, I don't remember being this fine. Somebody else responded with, I do, and then posted this woman crush every day Drake shirt. Look, I don't care what you have to do. Now I got to be looking at Doris really carefully next time she stand up. But now she wears the more, I don't even think we'll see her in a dress like this. But let me find out that Doris still got it like that. I'm going to change. I might go vegan just because of that. Doris going to change my whole life. All right, this next one, I'm going to need you guys to really watch this one because I had to play it back several times because I thought it was one of those videos that was sped up to kind of just get through it. And then I see his friend walk through the video at normal speed, and I realized that's not it. This kid needs to get outside more. He needs to go camping, maybe learn how to ride a bike. I get that it's dope, but the amount of time he had to spend in this arcade to do this is crazy. Take a look at this kid right now. This is real time. This is not fast forwarded. He is making every single shot. That to me, I mean, it's cool. I like that he has the Curry shirt on and everything. That's fitting. But y'all need to let that kid outside.
LeBron looking in the background.
Right, like, dang. Over there trying to recruit. Like, you want to sign with Clutch Sports, my guy? This is insane to me. It's dope on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm like, that kid need a hobby outside of this arcade. But maybe it's just me. It's just me.
I mean, we had a pandemic. He just was like, this is my one machine. I sanitized it. Nobody touched my machine. I ain't going by y'all's machine. I'm going to stay here all day because I ain't got nothing else to do.
Right? That is hilarious. Oh, my God. All right. That's all I got for the post up. Before I get out of here, I'm going to tell y'all what we not going to do. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Joe Burrow is having it rough. His season wasn't going that bad. He was 9th in passing. He had 2,688 yards. And being in the top 10 your rookie season and throwing for 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, but 3 touchdowns, I thought that's not bad. I know that the Bengals are 2-7-1, but they've told us from day one that this is a rebuilding process. They want to make sure they take their time, put Joe Burrow in a place where he can succeed. They want to build around him. So their record doesn't really mean a lot to me because we know that they're in that rebuild phase. But worst case scenario for them just happened on Sunday. I didn't see it in real time. I saw the game, but in real time, I didn't see the injury. So I had to search high and low, and I found this slow-mo video of the injury that Joe Burrow took. I might not have stuck it in there though, so I'm just going to skip over that. But it looks so bad. And his MRI showed that he has torn his ACL and his MCL and suffered structural issues to his knee. That's a lot. So he's out for the season. Every time a quarterback goes out for the season, the same thing happens. Even though Britt and I have told you guys 1,000 times, it is time for us to move on from this narrative. It always happens. When Joe Burrow got hurt, the immediate thing that you heard was, okay, they should go get Colin Kaepernick. They should go get Colin Kaepernick. And I get why y'all would say that, considering that they only have Ryan Finley, who was a 4th-round rookie, as a backup, and then Brandon Allen, who's played 3 games in his 4-year career. I get that you think that all is lost, but it's not, because they're still, like I said, in a rebuild phase. They can still rebuild as they like while he's recovering, because their season is tanked anyway. But then I saw maybe all these people that are saying, hey, go get Colin Kaepernick. Maybe it has nothing to do with actual people just saying, go get Cap, because we're still on that narrative. I think Colin Kaepernick actually facilitated this one because he tweeted that he is still ready to play. He posted this tweet saying it's been 1,363 days of being denied employment, still putting in work with Eric Reed, still going hard 5 days a week, hashtag still ready, hashtag stop running. So, okay, I get that. And I do think that the fact that Eric Reed is still out of a job, that proves that the NFL and all this whole social justice stuff that they talking about is all a lie. But then Colin Kaepernick also posted a video with this post to show him and Eric Reed working out. The video looks great. Let me just tell you that. Every single time Colin Kaepernick posts a video, I think this is what starts these conversations with us, because we can see he's still dope. He can still do it. But I can't. Here's the thing, and I hate talking anything that's not praiseworthy to Colin Kaepernick, because I actually love the man. He's actually one of my personal heroes. But I don't want to see any more of these videos. What I want to see is you standing at a desk where your agent is putting in calls to people, and your agent is saying, hey, Colin Kaepernick wants to come in for a workout. Is it possible? Can we do it? I don't want to see you doing these random videos that people may or may not see. I want to see you behind the scenes doing the work. If you really want to play, then do the work. Let me see you on the phone with your agent. Let me see you walking up to facilities just saying, hey, guys, I'm here. So then that way we can say, oh, yeah, he really does want to play. He's not just throwing out these random videos. He really does want to play, and he's doing the work behind the scenes. And then maybe we also can see that, hey, you're putting in this work and nobody is actually giving you a chance because you're doing more than just posting videos on social media. I'm just not a fan of this. But we do have some tweets from social media, and that some of these tweets I actually understand. Like I actually think this first tweet is a big deal. I might not have sent those to Leo, but one of the people said, you know what? I think he does deserve a chance. He clearly has the workout. Another person said, you know what? I'm glad you posted this because I was against you taking a knee, but now with everything that's happened, I understand why you took a knee, and now you should go ahead and get out there and get a job. So on the flip side, I get it. You know, he's staying in the forefront. People's minds are changing, which I said I don't think that that's a thing. So I do love this in that aspect, but at the same time, make a call. You've done these videos in the past that say, hey, still ready. Okay, but are you actually doing the business side of it? So what we're not going to do is just keep doing these damn videos, unless the next video you do is of your agent sitting at the table and just going down the list and checking off teams that he's called, and you're showing us that these people are denying you then. We know you've got mad talent. We know that you're still in shape. We can see that from your Instagram, those of us who follow you. I want to see that you really want to play, and instead of just saying, hey, I'm ready, but they're not coming to me. You have to go to them because you're the one who basically said, F you, NFL. So if you want to play, you have to go to them and you have to make the call. So what we're not going to do is post any more of these videos if we're not making the calls. So that's all I got to say about that. Devin, are you ready? Because now it is time for Brit's takes.
Yes, I believe I am.
This is great.
Wicka Brit's takes.
That's the funniest thing.
Okay. We're just going to get into this. It's actually going to be a continued from Jackie's, but back to her first part of it. We're talking Joe Burrow. Obviously, we know he got injured this weekend. Let's just get to this first tweet because I got some stuff to say after I read these tweets. So this first tweet was posted, and Jackie just kind of talked about it with the MRI that revealed more damage, the ACL, the MCL, and then suffered structural issues as well to the knee. And then he did an update to that saying these types of knee injuries, like the one Joe Burrow suffered, usually sideline players anywhere from 9 to 12 months, though each person heals and rehabs differently. But no matter how quickly Burrow does or doesn't recover, next year's status is now in question. And then let's get that other one up there. Because the coach actually apparently said what he said, I guess. So their coach, Zach Taylor, was asked to clarify if Joe Burrow will be ready to start at the start of the 2021 season. He said he'll be ready for the 2021 season. Asked again to be clear if he'll be ready for the start of the season, he said, I've said what I said, #Bengals. I have a lot of problems with this. So you guys are a little confused in the chat because people, Trey, I got you, Trey. I'm going to clear it up for you. We were talking about, Jackie was talking about Colin Kaepernick possibly, being up for this position with the Bengals. And Trey in the comments had said, no, because he's a starter. He's not a backup. Well, the Bengals are looking for a starting quarterback. They need a starting quarterback. Jackie already told you the people that they have at quarterback position. They are not equipped to start a team as of now, as of what they say. We all know, Dak Prescott wasn't equipped to be a starting quarterback. He was a 4th-round pick, a rookie, and nobody thought he was going to play. He was 3rd in the depth chart, and he ended up being great and having a great rookie year. So I'm not going to say that it can't happen, that people can't just randomly come out of nowhere and end up being these awesome quarterbacks, because a lot of times that has been what has happened. We know Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Tony Romo was undrafted. There are a handful of quarterbacks that we can literally name that were not necessarily coming into the league as these top overall picks. And we can name some top picks like Jamarcus Russell and, Andrew Luck, who didn't pan out like we thought they were going to. But this is I'm very concerned for Joe Burrow in this moment. Again, he's not one of my favorite guys. I don't actually really love him as a player, but Jackie did say in his 10 starts of this season, he finished with 264 of 404 passing, which is 65.3% completion. That's pretty decent, especially for a rookie. He had 2,688 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 142 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns, which is actually probably the highlight for him in that moment. Got that from little LSU love over there. Has learned how to run a little bit in LSU. But I'm very concerned because, number one, I thought, and I've said it a bunch of times before, I wasn't a big fan of rookies starting seasons this year, just especially because of this pandemic and how the season started with, being a shortened preseason, a shortened training camp, and then going into the season and having to deal with a pandemic on top of all of this stuff. Obviously, the Bengals didn't have a ton of other options, but that's your investment. You invested in that guy to be the new face of the franchise. So starting him, I didn't think was a good idea in the first place. Have one of these other guys go. You guys aren't going to be great this year anyway. Why waste your talent by potentially getting them injured because of all the injuries we've seen unfold this season, because people's bodies weren't ready to go because of, like I said, the shortened preseason and the shortened training camp. So I wasn't a big fan of him starting in the first place, along with, tons of other players that we've already kind of talked about, just because of what this season is. And not even that. I don't like rookie quarterbacks going in and playing. I don't like that. I love when they have, a year or two to develop. I think we've seen some of our best quarterbacks have that moment, have that time to develop a little bit before they end up playing, and they end up being greater quarterbacks than the guys that, usually play their first game of their rookie year. So I say all that to say we're at this moment now. He tore his MCL, he tore his ACL, and he's out. And like Adam said, that is not an easy injury to come back from, and it's not a quick healing process either. 10 to 12 months. We are in week 12, going into week 12 of the NFL season. So we have 5 weeks left of the regular NFL season before we get to playoffs. And their coach, Zach Taylor, my guy, who is actually not my guy at all because he is not making a smart decision. Granted, I didn't expect him to make a better decision. He is personally, he played quarterback at Nebraska, but then went undrafted. He never made a team. He got cut in training camp. And then he went on to become a quarterback coach. He was a quarterback coach for the Dolphins and then went to the Rams. And then from being a quarterback coach with the Rams, he is what we know in the NFL as, the white guy that gets the job over the qualified black guy, because at 35 years old, after never being an offensive or defensive coordinator, he became the head coach of the Bengals last season and now he's 37 years old. I didn't like that in the beginning. I don't like, Joe Judges did the same thing happen with him. I don't think somebody should be able to be a head coach if they either haven't been a head coach in college or they haven't been an offensive or defensive coordinator, period. But he got the job, and clearly now his but is showing, because this is a crazy decision to even come out and say that this guy will be ready for the start of the 2021 season. We all know how the process works. We all know when season is supposed to start next year. They'll start training in into June, and they'll have their first games beginning of August for preseason, and then start the regular season after that. This man is not going to be ready, and the pressure you are putting on this kid to be ready at that point is insane to me. We are not doing that. You need to be looking for a starting quarterback. I don't think it's Cap. Like I said, Bengals is not even a good situation to put him into. I don't even want to see him fail and fall down like that. That's not what I want. But you do need to be looking for whoever's going to be a starting quarterback for your next season too, because we're not going to do, like Jackie said, but I say it like totally different than she does. What we're not going to do is have a situation where Joe Burrow feels pressured to come back early. He works too hard and does too much in this offseason to get back healthy so he can start next season. And then guess what? Get injured again, because that is exactly what's going to happen to your guys' investment if you pressure him to come back before his body is ready to come back. That was not a minor injury. And I say over and over again, if it's a bone, you broke a bone, fine, you'll be back quick. Those bones are going to heal up and you are good to go. Any ligaments, muscles, any of that kind of stuff, that stuff is tough for these players to come back from. And the pressure you're putting on him is not acceptable. I think you should probably lose your job after this season is over. Black Monday, I will be waiting to hear that you have been fired, because what you're doing and the pressure you're putting on this kid is unreal, and I don't like it. Just because you weren't able to be a great quarterback at an elite level, don't put all your hopes and dreams on this kid and end up ruining his life. Jackie, really quick, what are your thoughts about Coach just automatically saying that he will be ready for the start of the 2021 season? Do you think that puts too much pressure on Joe's healing process?
I do, and we've seen this. We've seen people come back from injuries a little too quickly, and then all of a sudden they're re-injured again. So just it sucks that I didn't have the video so you could see he bent one way, bent another, and then fell. Like it looked like his whole leg was impacted by that hit. And I just I'm not a Joe Burrow fan by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, I'm very anti putting people in a position to fail. And I think when you make him feel like, hey, we're trying to build a team around you, our success is square on your shoulders, it's all up to you, then these are competitors. These are guys who want to play, they want to win. He's going to internalize that, and he's going to do everything to come back, and he might come back too soon. And the thing is like I always try to tell my friends who do play, like, just because the doctors tell you you can go back, you need to get a second opinion from a doctor who has nothing to do with the organization that you're playing for. Because yeah, you might be okay, but there might be underlying issues. And still, you and I have said this over and over and over again. Have you addressed your mental at all? Especially as this rookie who you're carrying the whole team on your back. That's not fair. It's just not fair. I'm with you. I've never been a fan of rookies. I get that now is sometimes you just have a need and you want your rookie to step up from day one. But I've never been a fan of that, because it is a difference between college and professional. I've always been a fan of, even if especially if you're the Bengals and you're in a rebuild situation anyway, even if it's a trash quarterback, you need to make sure that your rookie has an opportunity to follow a veteran for at least a year or two, just to see how different the process works, to make sure they learn that playbook. And especially at this time, let him sit under somebody next season and make sure he's totally healed. Let him know that you guys are going to wait for him. You are still willing to build around him, but don't make him feel like I have to come back now. Otherwise, all the plans are don't do that. That's not fair. It's not fair to anyone. And it's definitely not fair to the person that you have openly said is going to be the future of your franchise. It's just not smart. It's not smart to do that.
Yeah. I mean, if y'all want Andy Dalton back, y'all could have him. So Bengals, you guys could get Andy back. Take him.
Right?
Please.
All right.
But that's it for
That's
this
wrap
take.
for the day. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Wash your hands, wear a mask, And we will see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another live show. And then we're off for 2 days for the holidays. So see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.